Hey everybody, Zach here from Primrose Productions Music. Got a pretty quick video for you today. Today I want to talk to you guys about saturation. And saturation is one of those things that people don't really know what it does when they're starting out. And that's understandable because it can be really, really subtle. But if you use it correctly, it can add a lot to your mixes. So I have a couple examples I'm going to show you here. Let's start with this one. This one's a pretty laid back song. And basically, the drummer wasn't hitting super hard, which usually when I want drums, I want like reasonably hard hits, even on lighter songs. But I get it on recording day. Sometimes you just get into the vibe, and that's what you're feeling that day, so it's not a big deal. So I just wanted the drums to hit a little harder. So I'm just going to play you a little bit of the track right now, just so you can see where it's at. So as you can see, the drums sound okay, but they're not quite punchy enough for me. And there's also a lot of reverb on the drums, which sounds kind of weird right now, but when the vocals are in there, it's not nearly as upfront the way it is here. But I just wanted to turn the vocals off so we can focus on the drums and the saturation so we can really hear what it's doing. So here I have the Virtual Mix Rack by Slate, and this is cool because if you have the saturation bundle, which I do, you get 4 different kinds of saturation here. And some of them are kind of similar, but they have their subtle differences. And like I said, saturation is pretty subtle overall. But it's just cool to have multiple options to choose from. There's also a ton of, like tape emulations out there, which can also be good in certain situations. But for this video, I'm mostly going to be focusing on the Slate Virtual Mix Rack saturation units. So basically, I opened it up and I tried out a few different ones here, and I ended up using this one, the Hollywood. In a later example, I'm going to show you the New York as well, but I actually didn't use the London today or Revival. Revival is actually, though, is really cool, and that one's free. So even if you don't own the Slate Digital Mix Rack, Virtual Mix Rack, and the saturation bundle, you can still get this Revival saturation, which is actually really cool. So that's totally free. If you want to check that out, just go find it on Slate's website. And yeah. But so, yeah, today on the drums we use the Hollywood. So let's real quick turn it off. Well, it's off already. Let's listen to the drums and then I'll turn it on so you can hear what it's doing. See, it's really subtle. And honestly, if you didn't know that it was there, you probably wouldn't even notice. And that's the thing about saturation is you got to know when to use it. And the best way I can describe it is that you want to use saturation when you want something to be more of itself, if that makes sense. Like, it's not a Band-Aid. It's not something that you can just slap on anything and make it sound good. But if you have something that's already sounds pretty good, but you feel like it needs maybe just a little bit more energy, maybe just a little bit more harmonic frequencies in some spot, that's when you pull out the saturation. So, like I said, it's subtle, and hearing what it's actually doing can sometimes be difficult when starting out. So generally, the best way to see what it's actually doing when you're starting out and you're not used to it yet is literally just crank the main saturation knob, which is this knob right here. Other plugins, there's going to be one main knob that does most of the work. Like, literally just crank it to see what it's doing. So I'm going to turn this all the way down, and then I'm going to turn it all the way up as it's playing so you can see what it's really doing. So as you can see, when we turn it all the way up there, it gets even tighter and punchier. And if this were like a metal track, that would actually be really cool up there probably. But it's not. So, we wanted to go a little more reserved on this. So we kept it at 6. One last time, I'm going to turn this on and off for you. And then we're going to show you a couple different examples. Again, subtle, but it just adds so much. Now let's get to another example for you. All right, now fair warning, this track is a little heavier, it's a little louder, so you might want to turn down your listening device just a little bit, maybe a little more than a little bit, and turn it back up if you need to, because I don't want to hurt your ears. But yeah, so this is a metal track, and the first thing we're going to show you is how we can use saturation on guitar. Again, we got the Slate Virtual Mix Rack up here, and this time we're using the New York saturation. So again, I'm just going to mute the saturation, and then we're going to turn it back on, and we're going to see how it adds some energy to the guitars. Again, super subtle, but it's just adding that little bit extra. I'm going to solo the guitars and show you that way. All right, so this is the guitars without. So yeah, it's a little more obvious when the guitar is soloed, but it just adds a little bit more energy. Now, just to show you what the New York sounds like, I'm going to turn this one all the way down and then all the way back up again so you can see that. So as you can see, because we have high gain guitars, and we're using 5150 on at least one of them, so that's a lot of high frequency information in there. So when you're getting up like at the high end of this knob, it's a little too much, but you know you could probably go as high as about 7-ish there if you wanted a little more energy. But I thought it felt right just under 5. So one more time, let's turn it off in the whole track and turn it back on. Just adding that little bit extra. Now, the next place that we are using the saturation is on the vocals. Now, this one we're going to go back to the Hollywood, actually. So, hang on, let me get to a better spot in the song there so you can really hear the vocals. All right, so on the harsh vocals here, we are using the Hollywood saturation. So, again, let's turn it off and listen to what it sounds like when we turn it on.
Hatred and passion, flushing by a moral sense, downfall of my people, weakness perceived as strength. What's strength? What's strength?
Again, super subtle, but it just adds that little bit extra, which I love. Again, real quick, I'm going to turn it all the way down, all the way back up so you can see where it's at. But, I mean, you kind of got the idea of what the Hollywood sounds like from the drums. But real quick, let's just show you on the vocals, and we'll solo the vocals so we can hear that a little better.
Internet and passion, flushing by a moral sense, downfall of my people, weakness perceived as strength. What's strength? What's strength?
So again, as we got up to that high part there, it was a little too much because, you know, more aggressive song, a little too much up there for this kind of stuff. So took it down back here to about 5. Again, let's turn it off and on.
Internet and passion, flushing by a moral sense, downfall of my people, weakness perceived as strength.
See, it just adds that little extra. Now, I know I only showed you the 2 today, the Hollywood and the New York, but this can be applied to any of them. The London works great. Revival works great, and again, that's free, so I encourage you to go get that at least for yourself so you can check it out. And there's tons of other saturation plugins out there, guys. Obviously, I'm using the Slate here. I think that this is honestly one of the things that the Slate Virtual Mix Rack does best is their saturation plugins. But there's a ton out there from a ton of different companies. So go out there, explore, see what you can find. Maybe you can find one from a small company and make your mixes sound extra unique because you're the only one with that saturation plugin. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you have music that you are trying to get out there to more people, then I would encourage you to please go check out my free guide. Call it Your Rise to Stardom. It goes over literally everything that you have to do to get your mixes and your songs in front of as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. So check that out, primroseproductionmusic.com/guide. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. It helps me with the algorithm. Leave me a comment. Let me know what your favorite saturation plugin is. Thank you guys so much. I will see you in the next video.